265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good. Welcome to Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're live, local, and ready to get things going. Xavier and I did a tag team. I was out yesterday for several reasons. One was to be part of the West Alabama Prayer Breakfast, which was happening during the broadcast of the show. And also, I want to thank all of you for those of you who were able or did or whatever that gave me well wishes on my birthday on yesterday. So thank you to all of you who were part of that and really appreciate those kind thoughts and well wishes and all of that stuff. So thank you. Glad to have you as a part of the Martin Houston Show family. And we do it every day, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. It's the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team, where you're making it a part of your morning routine, and you don't understand just how much I appreciate that and appreciate you. We got a great show lined up for you. Before we move into that, want to encourage you to like, follow, share, and support the live stream of what we do. We have great supporters that help us with the radio airways, but you're the ones that make it happen on as individuals that make the live stream and all the additional content that we're able to do happen. So you can always watch and just click the QR code and follow those directions. Like, follow, share, and support. Donate to support the live stream. Thank you very much. As we move on this morning, remind you that this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Maybe a little different on a wild card Wednesday. Might take a little different jaunt down the road than we normally do, but definitely a couple of things I want to get to in the conversation this morning, and one of them being Cam Newton's rant. And you may be saying, what's that rant? You may not have heard it, but he went off on just about every major college, but specifically Kirby and Saban by name, University of Tennessee, not by the rest of them were pretty much by the university name, but Tennessee, North Carolina State, Auburn, etc. They don't need you is the advice he was giving to high school recruits. They don't need you. Think about yourself first. Is it true? Was he speaking truth to them? Or was this just another Cam Newton? What's in his head going on right now? Or was he speaking truth? Was he spitting truth? I mean, agree or disagree? Call up and let me know your thoughts. We'll play that audio here in a few minutes. and get your thoughts on it. Also, Alabama had a big recruiting battle going with a particular young man was going to be a 2024. Alabama made an offer along with several other Kansas and Auburn. I mean, and Arkansas, and you know, we thought we might get him, but he has reclassified. 6'7" wing player out of Dallas. A young man, Pate has decided that he would take his talents to the G League. Pate. So, I guess for a 2-year deal, he not only did he bypass Alabama, Aiden, he bypassed his senior year of high school. So he reclassified a class early and going to take a 2-year stint in the G League and be eligible for the 2025 draft. So it made me think, Aiden, is G League or NIL? Which one's better? Which one can he make more money in? Which one gives them the better opportunity? So we can talk about that.
I don't know, Martin. I think some kids just genuinely hate school that much.
Yeah, and so but I don't know that this kid would qualify for that. Aiden, he graduated a year early, so he has some type of discipline around school. And a lot of these kids are making this decision for money. I mean, because he could have came to. We'll talk about. I'm gonna circle back on that because I get what you're saying about hating school, but he just crammed more school into less time. So Cam Newton saying they don't need you. G League or NIL for college hoops, for these high school basketball players, they have options. And then, of course, yesterday I know Aiden and Xavier talked about it, but I got to shout out It Hurts So Good. Jalen Hurts, top. Aiden, you don't understand how much this blesses my heart. Because I want all of those guys who said, this guy will never play quarterback. And some of them on my show now, some of y'all out there listening, boy, y'all are eating so much crow this morning. I don't even know how y'all are breathing this morning. And then all these sponsors and a radio show host that dog Jalen Hurts.
Martin, have you spoken to your friend in the afternoon yet?
Hey, listen, he called me and I was on his show on Monday and I had not heard, okay, because of work and stuff like that. I'd not heard any news. And he said, did you hear about Jalen and his contract? I said, no, what happened? And he said, well, man, he got a big deal. And he said the numbers. I said, oh, is there another Jalen Hurts? Because it can't be the one that played at Alabama that all you Alabama folks said that would never play in the NFL, would never play quarterback. Not all of you folks who said he needs to move the quarterback. You can't be talking about the same. We can't. There has to be another Jalen Hurts out there. There's no way that the top player, the highest paid player in NFL history, could be the same Jalen Hurts that couldn't play quarterback at Alabama. Can't be that. So I was, oh my God, I was wide open. And
Mark, here's the thing. I've heard that crow goes really good with Old Bay, pan fried, and bacon grease.
Yeah, it's going good with something because and here's the thing. I've heard people talk about the Jalen Hurts story and what happened in the Georgia game. You can't predict that, right? I can't take Jalen Hurts getting an opportunity in the Georgia game and teach a leadership or a life principle off of, okay? I can't do that because the only way Jalen got his chance was that Tua got hurt. That makes sense. So I can't tell a kid, stick it out, and the guy who you're behind is going to get hurt. And then you're going to get a chance against the same team that he took your spot in because you didn't play well enough in the first half for the coach to believe that you could win in the second half. I can't teach that.
But it's never going to happen in sports history again.
Do what now?
It's never going to happen in sports history
Correct.
again.
But what I can teach is you come in to be your best. And no matter what outliers say, you keep working. And if you decide to stay somewhere, then you go all in and you learn from whatever the obstacle it is. In other words, Jalen, you got benched. You had a choice to leave. You stayed, but you stay and you take it with the right attitude and the right mindset, and you grow through it. I can reteach you that. Then I can reteach you that you carry yourself in such a way that the coach and I Nick Saban put Jalen Hurts in that bad spot because of the way him and Lane Kiffin coached Jalen Hurts to play quarterback. They had him, if it's not there, run it or throw it out of bounds. Jalen Hurts was coached to play the way he played his first year because at the beginning of the year against the USCs of the world, he didn't play the same way he did down the stretch. You can go back and watch. He slowly got worse and worse. And I asked Ryan, I said, did Jalen Hurts improve from the first time you saw him as a quarterback and his natural instincts? Did he improve or get worse until he came in against the Georgia game and then ultimately went to Oklahoma? And he said, no. I said, so how can he have been under the quarterback whisper and got worse in Lane Kiffin, unless he was coached to play that way? So with that said, I said, now I can, and I have to give Saban credit. Jalen was going to Miami because of Coach Enos. And Coach Enos had a big part to play in how he worked with Jalen during that season. But Coach said, don't go to Miami because they don't have talent around you. Go to Oklahoma or find some place like that. Boom, he did. Do you understand that Jalen Hurts, for the first time since he graduated high school, Ayton, had the same offensive coordinator in the same offense for only the first time last year?
And look what happened. He went to a Super Bowl.
He literally had it.
At the highest level of football, he came in second place.
Yes, and watch this. Does Jalen Hurts win MVP if he has that season and Mahomes is having his season and there's not been a Mahomes Super Bowl or MVPs? It's a different story. He to dethrone an MVP that has an MVP style season, you have to blow him out of the water. If Jalen Hurts doesn't miss those games, does he win the MVP? You see what I'm saying? Like Jalen Hurts had an MVP season. He just happened to have an MVP season when an MVP, who is the best quarterback in his era,
well, and Martin,
MVP season.
Well, let's be real about this here. Keep this in mind. You know, the media is going to make the MVP out to be who the MVP is based on a little bit of who the league and certain team executives want to sound like the MVP. Jalen Hurts was still on his rookie contract making, $1.1 million a year. They just paid Patrick Mahomes $500 million. Even if they're equal performers and not one being a reigning MVP, they're going to lean towards Patrick Mahomes. They're going to lean towards the guy that they've cut the $500 million check for, and they want to be the face of the NFL because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think without a doubt. And how did Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts ended up second in the voting when all year, all you heard was it's because of his talent. It's because of the talent around him. It's not that he's any good. It's the talent around him. And he still got all the way to second place. So, I mean, despite all of the negativity around him and the fact that he was going against, like I said, he was going against a guy who was an MVP returning, and Mahomes, there's no question Mahomes deserved the MVP, but so did Jalen. And either one of those guys were great candidates. But the point is, all of these Alabama folks, Aiden, all of them that were so anti Jalen Hurts, I can reteach that principle. That if you keep persevering and don't quit, and because you know what's inside of you, and you take advantage of whatever opportunities present themselves, you always be on ready. And that's what Jalen Hurts was. everywhere he went throughout his career, he was dogged. He was told since high school, somebody's been beating him out ever since. And no one, and now he stands atop the college football world. I don't know what happens next for Jalen Hurts, but I know that Jalen Hurts has a story that that very few will ever have, and he did it the right way. I can teach that principle that you if you quit, you never win. You know, but if you persevere, and there's going to be some ups and downs, there's going to be a lot of doubters, a lot of naysayers, but the grit you have around you is going to be the difference. And what does he have around him? He has a father who kept believing in him, kept pushing him, did not let him quit. And he has a competitive spirit that is a never die spirit. And young men, uh, and people out there listening, I don't care if you're in football, I don't care if you are in business, I don't care if you're a farmer, I don't care what your profession is, you can learn from that young man. And one day you can find yourself as the best. You don't have to be better than everybody else. Jalen Hurts just ended up being better than everybody else. But what I love about Jalen Hurts, Aiden, is he has become at this point the best he can be. And I cannot wait to see what happens. I'm hoping that once again, that they don't change the offense on him. I'm hoping that these coaches are smart enough that they don't change the offense on him. Because if I'm not mistaken, his coordinator got another job. So,
Yeah, but Sirianni's going to keep things largely the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is, and that is huge. And the coaches need to learn from this. If you recruit a talented kid, and he's a square peg, instead of shaving off all the square edges, make your hole a square.
Well, and Martin, I'm excited to see what he's able to do next year because, the truth of the matter is, as much as we talked about the talent around Jalen this year, sure, he had 2 elite wide receivers and a top 10 tight end, but Miles Sanders and Boston Scott are average running backs. That offensive line was aging. They aren't able to do the things they do without the way Jalen plays football. The way Jalen plays football is the reason they were able to have that run dominant offense. A lot of that was Jalen's creation himself. So as I think no matter what, this team is in a good position because they're going to add younger talents. They're going to get more talented. People are going to want to come play for Jalen Hurts the way A.J. Brown did last offseason. Things are looking up for the Philadelphia Eagles. They are going to win a Super Bowl within this contract they just gave Jalen.
Yeah, and the way I love it is, I love it when people say, well, he had those great wide receivers. Well, why were those wide receivers open quite often? Because you had to get in the box to stop the run. And if you didn't get in the box to stop the run and stop the wide receivers, Jalen's threat at running back gave them numbers, so you couldn't even stop the running backs that they had that were not necessarily elite. and don't forget this. Jalen was part and partial to the reason Kelsey came back. I mean, he was gonna retire. Him and a couple of they were like, man, and he taught them his leadership. And if they were so good, why did they lose when he was out? I mean,
there you go. There you go.
I mean, and I think that actually ended up helping him in some ways. It didn't help him statistically because he was chasing a statistical nightmare in Mahomes. But it took the edge off of people saying, well, anybody could quarterback and win with that team. So, and then what he did against Mahomes in the Super Bowl head to head, if their defense just lives up to their part of the bargain, the Eagles win that game. The poor adjustments at halftime by the Philadelphia Eagles cost them that Super Bowl. Great coaching, great coaching by Reed and his staff. But the other side of that will be, and Mahomes lost his security blanket partially too. this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts. Anyway, I just had to give a shout out to my boy, Jalen Hurts. Of course, Ryan did give me a shout out. He said, Martin, he said, you were a dieharder the whole way. I said, yeah, I just need somebody to call Jalen and tell him he's looking for somewhere to put part of that tithe Aiden. Send it to Coker Church, Harvest Church in Coker. We'll take. We don't even want the whole tithe. We just want a little bit of it, Jalen. Just a little bit. So, seriously, I am so proud of that young man. So happy for him. So happy for him and his mom and dad, and all of those who stuck with him and was in his ear. Coming back on the other side, we're going to ask the question: was Cam Newton correct when he said they don't need you? We'll have that audio on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a bad wreck on US 82 near County Road 86, just west of Gordo. We also have a wreck on 2059 eastbound at Covered Bridge Road. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Now's the time to trade up and save thousands at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Hi, I'm Marty Lyons. When I come to Taco Casa, I always order the 2 and 2. 2 Sanchos, 2 enchiladas.
And I'm Wilkin Forby. And when I come to Taco Casa, I always order the Fantastic Four. 4 Sanchos, 4 enchiladas, 4 tacos, and 4 burritos.
Taco Casa is always made with the finest ingredients and made fresh when you order. So whatever the size of your appetite,
there's always something delicious waiting for you here at Taco Casa.
Taco Casa, under the biggest cactus in town.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
You've probably seen their clothing around town on game days. But check out Christopher Mobley on the Strip. It's luxury game day apparel redefined. It's the only place in town where you can find Todd Hoops apparel. Clothing designed for the modern day entrepreneur, golf enthusiast, and athleisure fanatic. They've got Peter Millar, Fiore, Grayson, and Mizzen & Main. And if you haven't tried the Mizzen & Main dress shirts, you've got to. You can find them at 1410 University Boulevard on the Strip. Also, they've got a great e-commerce site at ChristopherMobley.shop. So check out Christopher Mobley, luxury game day apparel redefined.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Warm and dry weather continues today with a sunny sky, the high 83. For tonight, fair with the low at 56. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny, the high 86. And Friday, partially sunny, the chance of a shower by late afternoon, the high 82. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 47 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmarkdesign.com.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
All right. Welcome back in to the Martin Show. I think Pat had something to say beforehand, so we'll get to him. Is Pat still on with us, Aiden? Is he ready to go?
Yeah, we got it.
All right, Pat, we'll get your thoughts because you're probably talking about something from the prior side, and then we'll move over to that Cam Newton audio in just a moment. You're in on the Alabama One Hotline with Martin. What's on your mind, sir?
And I want to talk about
is what is this going to do for recruiting if Alabama goes 1-2 overall? How sweet would that be for Coach Saban? What do you think?
I think it'll be sweet, but I don't know that it'll change anything. Being that I think Saban has figured out. I think he's recovered. And I think Aiden even mentioned this yesterday, Pat. I think he's recovered from the COVID effect. We haven't talked about that, but did the COVID effect hurt Nick Saban in recruiting? Because Nick Saban's strength, from everything I've ever heard, is in the room when he's in front of the mom and the dad. Everybody always talks about what he does with the students, and I do think that's important. But I think Nick Saban sells the fact that he really will care for their kids better than anybody. And so, Pat, to me, Nick Saban, I mean, Alabama's number one. I mean, they just, best classes ever and all of that. So I don't think it does any more for Alabama. It just nullifies people saying he's getting old, and it makes him still strong. What it does from a quarterback standpoint, Pat, is it puts us in a position that quarterbacks will still continue to look to come play for Alabama.
Gotcha. I mean, this is setting a, something that Alabama's never done before, Martin.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be impressive. Are the Texans looking at trading out of the number 2 spot or something? Or you think D'Amico may go defense?
No, D'Amico is gonna take Will Anderson. That's my opinion, because he's a big edge rushing person. Would you not agree with that?
I think he's a big edge rushing person, but I think it's easier to find guys who can play winning football at the NFL level at outside linebacker. Not that everybody's going to be a Will Anderson, than it is to find a quarterback. So that's why quarterbacks go where they go, Pat. It's so hard to find a winning quarterback. Huh?
However, it's also almost impossible. The ones that have been rated the highest have not necessarily been the ones that have done. It's hard to evaluate. Quarterback's the hardest position to evaluate.
Yep, agree. But they still go 100 years into the draft. They're still the one that if you evaluate one highly, you generally don't see them fall very far.
Yeah, got you. All right, I just love to see 1 and 2 be Alabama. Give us something to do on draft night.
All right. Sounds good.
Have a nice day, Martin Houston.
You do likewise. Aiden, do we have that audio?
Yeah, we were playing it coming out, but we'll go back to it.
I couldn't hear it, so it may have been on my side. So I apologize.
It's running on the same machine as you, so it might not feed back to you.
Okay, all right. Just let me know. We'll play it coming back out. We'll go ahead and get the break here, and we'll play that cam audio, and you just communicate with me, and we'll get that for our listening audience.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
I'm Kim Rankin with your Tide Sports Update. Former Alabama quarterback Jalen Hurts has signed a 5-year, $255 million contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles, making him the highest paid player in NFL history. Alabama tight end Elijah Brown has entered the transfer portal. The Alabama softball team ranked number 13 in this week's D1 softball rankings.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update. For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a bad wreck on US 82 near County Road 86, just west of Gordo. We also have a wreck on 2059 eastbound at Covered Bridge Road. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Now's the time to trade up and save thousands at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
From our home base right here in Birmingham, Alabama.
We are here treating patients from every generation,
Across the United States.
and from around the world.
As respected industry leaders,
We are here.
Working hard for you
in an effort to provide you with
Excellence in sports medicine.
excellence in research and education,
and excellence in sports injury prevention.
we are here for you, aggressively pursuing victory over injury.
Learn more at andrewsportsmedicine.com.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
Do you need help finding a job or earning your GED? Not sure what job to choose? Tuscaloosa's One Place, a family resource center, is offering a series of midday lunch and learn classes to help you change your life in as little as 8 hours. Get on track to earn your GED and increase your income by over $8,000 a year. Tuscaloosa's One Place can help you get started. Call 205-462-1000 for more information.
The Tuscaloosa Mayor's Cup 5K for pre-K will be April 29th at 8 a.m. in downtown Tuscaloosa. For more information or to register, go to TuscaloosaMayorsCup.com. That's www.TuscaloosaMayorsCup.com.
The all-new Nissan Ariya is a fully loaded EV. It's brimming with style and power,
Up to 389 horses of it.
innovation, and intelligence.
E-Force all-wheel drive.
It'll pin you to your seat.
Your very plush seat.
The all-new, all-electric Nissan Ariya. Nissan Ariya with E-Force expected availability early 2023. E-Force cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. E-Force and 389 horsepower available on Platinum Plus. Nissan calculation using 1-foot rollout testing with long-range battery and E-Force only in sport mode with E-Step off. These results are for comparison only and should not be attempted on public roads. Drive responsibly. See NissanUSA.com for details.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Think Kirby Smart needs you? You think Nick Saban needs you? You stupid. You going to Tennessee? Half y'all going to schools that don't even offer you. If you're good, it don't matter where you go, they gonna find you. I promise you that. A lot of y'all want to go to the Alabama, the North Carolina, the North Carolina State. Y'all gonna be there for 4 years and not have a meaningful game. Oh, but I got a catch though. It was senior day. It was a slam. Relax. Bro, you better go somewhere where you gotta put yourself first. Because when you play for that G, when you play for that A, when you play for that T, when you play for that AU, bro, they're putting themselves first. They're bulletproof. Nothing and no one will ever, will ever mess up their situation, whether a quarterback, receiver, DB, nothing, coach. Man, those schools are bulletproof. So to think that they want me, they need me, man, bro, they don't need you.
Wow. So, Cam Newton goes on a rant. They don't need you. You think Nick Saban, you think Kirby Smart needs you. You play for that G or that A or that AU or Tennessee. They don't want you and they don't need you. If you're good, I'm assuming he was speaking of the NFL, will find you. And in some ways, that's true, Aiden. In some ways, everything that he said is true. But he just said one of the biggest weaknesses in this generation's culture, your generation, Aiden, is selfishness. And I'm not dogging. I think I tell people often, anybody that's heard me know that I'm a believer, and I believe that God hands in control. And I tell people he didn't let me be born in this generation because I'm not as tough as you guys. I probably couldn't put up with all of the stuff you guys have to put up with. So this generation has some really, really strong qualities. But one of the things that they don't have is a lot of them don't get the opportunity to be resilient, to learn how to press on and persevere and go against challenges. Their parents, and this started after World War II. We have all parents, for the most part, in some capacity, have a mindset that we're going to make it easier for our kids than it was for us. Would you agree with that, Aiden? That's kind of a premise out there, that we're going to make it easier for our kids than we had it?
I think for parents of certain economic means, sure.
Yeah. I think every parent thinks that way to some degree. They're going to try. If you're rich, they make it easier. If you're poor, you want to make it, and we say better. I'm sorry. I use the wrong one. Want to make it better for our kids than the generation before. Like I want.
Well, that's the progress of humanity, Martin.
Huh?
Yeah.
Do what?
That's the progress of humanity.
Right. But the problem is, how do you define better, Aiden? This generation and parents successively have said easier equals better, which is not necessarily true. Okay. So you're right. You should. I want things better for my kids, but being better for my kids doesn't mean that they don't have to go through any struggles or any ups and downs, any hard times or any. So what happens is we used to have what we call helicopter parents. Now I call them lawnmower parents. Parents who will go down to the school and cuss out the teacher when the teacher gets onto their students. You have parents who in Little League, if their kid doesn't play as much as the other kid, they complain and say, "Hey, this no matter how much more talented one kid is than the other, this kid should play the same as this kid." And so equal equals fair, and all of these things, and that's not the case. Equal fairness does not mean equal. Okay. And so all of these things, and he just fed into that in one sense. But what he's saying is true. Alabama, if you look in that room of kids, I don't care if there was 4 or 5 stars in that room. Alabama don't need them, because Alabama or Georgia or these schools, they're gonna get their share. But then he went from Alabama and Georgia to even down to NC State and all of that. So he just told this group of kids, don't go to those schools because they don't need you. Well, there's 2 things. First, go to college, play in the NFL. Virtually none of them go to the NFL. So first of all, if it's just about getting to the league, and if you're talking to kids who are not 5 stars, then they better be going to school for more than just to play football, because their chances of getting there may be very slim to none anyway. Then number 2 is, what are you going to do if you do get to the NFL? Even the ones who get to the NFL, Aiden, most of them don't make enough money to last more than a couple years anyway. If you start looking at how many guys who play this game at the highest level all the way down to D3, it's only a handful of guys who are going to make enough money in the NFL to matter anyway. So what you going to do about your education? What Cam Newton has said is true. They don't need you. Now, him saying they don't want you, I have to disagree with that. If you're a baller like he was, they want you. They want you to come play for them. And here's the thing. The reason they don't need you is because if you don't show up, they're going to find somebody else. But to advise these kids not to go to those schools in that manner was part and partial to what he said. Think about yourself first. That whole rant was about Cam Newton and or some other agenda that he may have. He was not advising those young men. He literally told them, Aiden, that they're stupid if they think that Nick Saban and Kirby Smart needs them or wants them. He literally said, if you think that's true, you're stupid. Now, here's a question. I don't know who those kids were. I have no idea who was in that room. But from a potential standpoint, he probably doesn't either. What's your thoughts?
I think it says a lot more about how Cam Newton views himself at that age of those kids in that room. I think it says a lot more about how Cam Newton feels about his own decisions that he has made in life. I think it sounds like Cam Newton has some regrets and he would change a lot of things about his life if he could. And rather than being constructive in the manner that he has decided to present that to young men, which, because, that can be a useful message to send to young men.
Absolutely.
But I think he's not being very constructive in the manner in which he chooses to send that message.
Just to the point about true versus truth. What he said is a true statement, right? They don't need you. That is a true statement. But was it the truth for every kid in that room? Let's say
he's got no way of knowing.
Right. Let's say that there's a young Bryce Young in that room. Well, I mean, what's Alabama's biggest concern going into this season?
Not having a Bryce Young.
Right? Not having a quarterback. So if one of those kids are a young Bryce Young, the need would be real at Alabama this year. If you're at that level. So something can be true and not the truth. The way you have that conversation is, hey, listen, you need to search out each situation for you and what's best. What's best for you? Your criteria, every player needs to have their own set of criteria. Like for me, I felt like I was a good ball player coming out of high school, Aiden.
Well, that would be indicative of why you were recruited by Alabama.
Right. But I was going to NC State. I mean, I was sold on. I mean, Auburn recruited me. Huh?
Wolfpack.
Yeah, that's right. But listen, the reason I was going to NC State was first of all, I was a tailback in high school, knew I'd play fullback in college. Guess what type of offense NC State ran when I was coming out?
Something tells me they ran the ball.
They ran an option. And the fullback ran the ball as much as the tailbacks. Based on how good he was, he got as many reads as they did. But I was going to go into computer science in 1988. So I tell people when I would say computer science, they're like, what? Like people didn't even know what computer science was in a lot of times when I would say it out loud. So the coach picked up on that. So he recruited me heavily. Well, it snowed that day. The reason Alabama was next was because my second option for what I was going to study in school was some form of business degree. Okay. And Alabama had an awesome business school. And then they had a budding young computer science program. So guess what? Coming to Alabama gave me the option to do both. Now, the reason I ended up getting recruited at Alabama had nothing to do with how good I was. This is crazy. The reason they started recruiting me from Alabama, Aiden, was when Bill Curry came here, he had a guy on his staff named Chip Wisdom. Chip had played at Georgia and coached at Georgia under Coach Dooley and on the national championship team. And they had signed two guys in the late 70s from my high school. And when he moved to to Tuscaloosa, he said, I wonder if that school has any good football players. That was the only reason Alabama started recruiting me. You see what I'm saying? And once he saw that, he was like, okay, this guy can play.
So much of it is happenstance.
Huh?
So much of it is happenstance.
Right. And so to tell a kid, because here's the beauty of it. Auburn started recruiting me as a freshman. I went to 6 Auburn games when I was 14 years old. Okay? What did Coach Dye say? What does he say every time? By the time I was a senior. Now, I was a heck of a lot better football player when I was a senior than I was as a freshman. But he had a position coach that thought I was a step too slow. And so that opportunity wasn't as good as I thought it was. as a freshman, sophomore, junior, and even halfway through my senior year. And so to tell me I shouldn't go somewhere because they don't need me, well, needs change overnight. And to tell a kid that those schools don't need you, where was he telling them to go? That's the part I want to hear the rest of the conversation.
Sounds like he thinks they should go to William and Mary.
Or is this an HBCU rant?
That's more than possible.
That I'm like, what's his agenda in telling these kids that they don't need? Because if he had just said Alabama and Auburn, and then said, hey, man, go to some of these other D1 schools or whatever, then I'll be like, okay, maybe that's what it is. But I don't know. And he may have said some of that. But in that particular part of the rant, I'm like, ooh, that's why I'm careful, because I didn't hear before that and after that. And I've learned through scripture, you have to read it in context. But just hearing that part of the audio, because that's what's going to make the news, bad advice, Cam. If you did not, you never should call them stupid for going to Alabama and Auburn, number one. Okay? Because if the last time I checked, that dude at Alabama has more NFL draft picks than anybody in the history of the game.
Martin, with Jalen's contract, we just eclipsed $2 billion in NFL earnings since the arrival of one Nicholas Lou Saban.
So, with that said, I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing and you're stupid if Nick Saban tells you he needs you, because Nick Saban has players who have come out and said the way he recruited me, and he told me, hey, we need you if we're going to be champions, but if you don't come, okay, Julio Jones, you remember what he told Julio Jones? We're going to start winning championships again at Alabama, and we want you to come do that, and we need you if we're going to do that. But if you decide to go somewhere else, we're still going to win championships at Alabama. That's what he told Julio Jones. He sat in Jonathan Allen's room, home, and said, I'm going to give you a chance to play, but I'm also going to give the guys who are already there a chance to play. And the guys I recruit next year, they're going to get a chance to play. And if you're better than them, then you do. Hey, listen, if you're the best, you don't worry about the other. You worry about you continuing to be your best. That's my concern with Cam Newton going on some type of rant. And like I said, he may have brought this back home, but he said several things in there that made me, they don't need you is one thing. That
I don't know, Martin, if you watch the video that went with that audio, there's at one point it cuts to a shot of one of the kids sitting in the classroom that he's talking in, and he's got this look on his face like, what the heck is this man going on about?
Yes, he did. I saw that. Yeah, there was several of those where they're like, why is he saying it? And that's the thing. What was his agenda? Is this man
really that mad he got beat out by Mac Jones?
Yeah, I guess so. So, but anyway, true or not, we don't know. But I hate that advice. Young men, if you're out there listening to this show this morning, go where is the best fit for you in that season, because circumstances change. And thank God that they've given an opportunity, if it is a bad fit, that you can make a more seasoned decision. And that brings me to the topic we're going to talk about tomorrow, the two-edged sword of the transfer portal. Is it good or bad? Are the people in the portal the type guys you want on your team, or the type guys you don't want on your team? One man's junk, another man's jewels, right? I love it when Hugh Freeze is recruiting the portal and he says, hey, if you quit and don't want to be here, then you're not the type of guy we're going to win with anyway. But then he turns around and says, hey, if you're in the portal, come to Auburn. That's a two-edged sword. Which way will it hurt? And will Alabama do like Feinbaum said? Will we go to the portal to get a quarterback? And if so, what's the potential impact of that decision long term? We'll talk about that on tomorrow. We'll talk about several other things, but you come back right here. We'll have Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries, up next.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a bad wreck on US 82 near County Road 86, just west of Gordo. We also have a wreck on 2059 eastbound at Covered Bridge Road. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Now's the time to trade up and save thousands at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. For the second day, balloons have been released into the West Alabama skies to mourn the loss of two teens killed early Saturday morning in a traffic crash on Skyland Boulevard East. Students at Perry County's R.C. Hatch High School lifted the memory of 18-year-old Samuel Brown late yesterday afternoon at the school's football stadium. One day after 17-year-old Madison Sims was honored similarly by Bryant students. They died and two teens were injured in a collision with an 18-wheeler after the Bryant prom. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code RADIO26 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's code RADIO26. Use code RADIO26 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show with the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game. Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. X is out today, but it's now time for our weekly catch-up with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. He's in to help us and encourage us of how we can incorporate our faith into the boardroom, the classroom, or our chosen field of play. Good morning, Scotty. Take it away, sir.
Hey, thank you, Martin. I kind of want to do a little recap. I wasn't able to be at the prayer breakfast on yesterday. You were there, right, Martin?
Yes, sir. It was great. It was awesome.
Okay. So I want to lead in. You know, our lead-in passage has been, we talk about building something special. And our lead-in passage for that series, we've been going on that series for a minute, huh, Martin?
That's right.
It's like beginning. But that passage is, unless the Lord builds the house, they that build it labor in vain. Man, unless the Lord builds the house, they that build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman watches in vain. And so when you think about that, I mean, we talked about building something special, and we talked about us, if we're going to build something special this year, we got to use God's word. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To build something special, we got to be, that's got to be our foundation for our lives as believers. But then we also talked about how important prayer is. Then we talked about fellowship, being with other believers, and our final point that we're still kind of finishing up is witnessing and telling other people about this relationship we have with the Lord, which is the greatest gift that he could ever give us, is a relationship with himself. And so all that to say, let's go back to prayer. Unless the Lord builds a house, they that build it labor in vain. He says, my house should be called a house of prayer. And we know that one of the greatest ways to build anything is through prayer, trusting God through prayer. Talk about a little bit, I'd love to hear a little bit about how the prayer breakfast was, and maybe we can go ahead and start marketing a little bit for next year.
Absolutely.
But I think it's just awesome that you guys, I don't know if you help lead that, but that you guys do that every year. It's a great, not just gesture, but action towards we believe prayer matters. We're going to build something special right here in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama, and we're going to start with prayer. So talk about that a little bit, Martin.
It's really awesome. It's just started in 1999 as a pre-event for Franklin Graham coming to town, and still going, all of these years later. So a lot of people use prayer as an ancillary, as an afterthought. But I always go look at how the New Testament church really burst onto the scenes. It says Jesus ascended. He told them to go and pray until the Spirit comes. And it says that they went and they were in there for 10 days. Peter preached 3 minutes and 3,000 plus got saved. So I
the work happened. The work was in 10 days.
Yeah. And so we pray 10 minutes, work 3 months, and one gets saved. So I don't believe prayer is an add-on. I don't believe prayer is a nice to have. I believe prayer is the foundation. If in my job, Scotty, if my CEO has a vision that he wants to accomplish for my company, if Nick Saban has a vision for his football team, and I'm one of the coaches or players or administrators or any part of that organization, I'm going to catch his vision. And if I have a question about that vision and I have unlimited access to Nick Saban, then who am I going to go ask what his vision is and what does he want me to do and what's my role in that? I'm not going to go to somebody else and say, "Hey, what do you think coach wants me to do?" I'm not going to have that conversation. I'm not going to have that conversation first. I'm sorry. I'm going to go because I have unlimited access to Coach Saban. I'm going to ask him, "Coach, what do you want me to accomplish in this? How do you want me to approach? What's your value? What's next? How do you see me playing into your plan, your strategy, your vision?" That's where I'm going. Now, once I get that, then I'll go back to the people who can help me implement that and who are responsible for helping me coach that or learn that. And to me, that's what prayer is. We have access to the creator of it all, the chief strategist, and the one who sets the vision. And we're able to use prayer to get on board with that. So to me, prayer is not a part of the thing. It is the main thing. And then from that conversation, it's two-way. I'm going to ask questions. He's going to give back. He's going to give back. I'm going to ask more questions. I'm going to session and get clarity on it. So prayer. Oh, hold on. Most relationships fail because of poor communication, miscommunication, or lack of communication. And our faith walk is all about relationship. That's what makes ours different. Other ones are religion. We are relationship. And so if you don't have great communication two-way, it's hard to walk this thing out. So thanks for letting me hear that.
That's great. Powerful. Absolutely. That's so strong, Martin. Thanks for sharing. Preacher.
Yeah. And hey, listen, that's what we did yesterday in the prayer breakfast. It was absolutely awesome. We had speakers from all over West Alabama, had over 600 plus people show up at 6:30 in the morning, leaders from all over this West Alabama to share their faith, man. So it was awesome. Hey, Scotty, tell us real quick where we're at so you can get out of here, man.
Hey, guys, go to Tuscaloosa City Schools Facebook page and look at the Champions of Character podcast I'm doing with our Tuscaloosa City Schools. Please like that video, share that video, and make a comment and celebrate these champions of character with the Tuscaloosa City Schools. Go to their Facebook page and look for that video, and please engage with that.
All right, that's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries. I'm Martin Houston. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide out there, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Come out and celebrate over 35 years of Sawyer Brown.